Greetings. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of How to Land My Dream Job. I am the special host for this wonderful event called Careers as a First Responder, featuring the Chicago PD. Big ups to the Chicago PD. They do come to our events in Chicago, which is their hometown, of course, and we represent with our college expos. And we're super excited to be here again to talk about career opportunities. Again, I'm Denise Parker, the Internships and Careers Director for National College Resources Foundation. If you want to find out more about other opportunities that we have in internships, careers, and other, go to www.thecollegeexpo.org. That's THE collegeexpo.org. You can also like us and find us on all social media at NCR Foundation. At NCR Foundation. And we also have our NCRF TV network on our YouTube channel. And before we get started, I want to make sure that you guys understand that you want to take notes and you want to be prepared. Please do. There's going to be a lot of information shared about first responders. I'm super excited to be here. And let me introduce my special guest, Officer Cooley from Cooley High. No, I'm just kidding. Come on the stage. How are you doing, ma'am?
Fantastic, and so happy to be here. Thank you so much for the invite.
I love it. I love it. So before we really dive into it, just tell us real quick, what is a first responder?
You can get the technical term, but anybody that responds immediately to any type of emergency that goes out. So you can think of firefighters, you can think of police officers, you can think of doctors, nurses, because they're right in the thick of it. Okay. In any type of emergency situation, we're always there and we're responding.
I love it. I love it. So go ahead and just share with the screen, show our special audience what it is.
I didn't bring them all, but I thought, what do you
And she's
think?
in the thick of it. She's in the police department right now. I see. Great.
So when he comes, we'll be all set, and so we're good to go.
Where do you want to start? Where do you start?
All right, kids.
So, again, welcome, and thank you so much for you guys being here. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the who I am and why. Okay, why I chose this great career as a Chicago police officer. Okay. Again, my name is Sharita Cooley. I've been tenured here at the Chicago Police Department for about working on 8 years now. Okay, so how it goes on this end, I left a complete career that I did for about 17 years in banking to come over and start this magnificent career here. So that was what I did prior. And then the why was I wanted to be a part of the change. Somebody actually, as a police officer in the city of Chicago, saved my life, and I wanted to do that for somebody else. So that was one of the things that pushed me to do so. And then in addition to the family aspect, I was able to take care of everybody in my household with meeting my needs here. So that's my why. So it's always important to know your why in anything that you do. So let's talk about who Chicago Police Department is. Our Chicago Police Department is the second largest municipality in these United States. Can anybody say who you guys think the first number one department is with the number of officers on staff? Anybody can just say it.
NYPD.
Oh, okay. NYPD. Okay, that is actually correct. Do you know how many officers NYPD has? Anybody? We have 12,000.
What did you say? Double that?
Nobody?
Double
Oh
that?
my God, almost 30,000 officers. Yes, because of all the different boroughs New York has. But New York is the largest. So I really like larger municipalities due to the fact that you have so much that you can do being in larger municipalities. So I want to start by just playing a short video. Okay? So with that video in its entirety, a lot of people don't know that we have over 200 different career paths that Chicago Police Department has to offer. Can anybody see in that video and tell me, hey, I didn't know Chicago Police Department did that. I didn't know you guys had that. Anything?
Yeah, I saw a lot of things with the underwater, aspect like divers and stuff like that. That's very interesting. I know you guys are next to a body of water, so it probably is important to probably look for things that are.
Yes, yes. I'm actually, I want to go there next. So I'm actually looking at the orders to see what is needed to be part of our, what they call our Marine unit. Absolutely. So we had different things like our bike patrol, our K9, our detectives, our forensic specialists, our evidence technician, and the people that actually did the video, our graphic arts team. These are all roles in the Chicago Police Department that we offer. And then don't forget about the helicopter unit as well as the drone unit that actually got those high aerial shots. Okay, so going to that career path, you can always find something that you're interested in the police department because we're so big. All right, we do have several promotional exams. You can take whatever test that you're eligible for wherever you want to grow. We have things like sergeants, lieutenants, captains, commanders, evidence technician, detectives. All of those are testable avenues that you can go to. All right. And then let's think about some of those great parts. Time off. We like to make sure we have a great workplace balance. Okay. With that being said, we have, as soon as you make your 12 months on, you get your start your vacation, 12 straight days. You also are able to earn and accrue more time. If you work overtime, you get paid for that, or you can add time, which is called our community time off, add time to it too. We also get what they call baby furlough days and also our personal days, all encompassed with our time. And we get sick days, which is 365. You can't go anywhere and get that much sick time, but they want to make sure that you use it if you are additional, really actually sick. Okay. Please, if anybody has any questions, concerns, just ask, okay? So let's get into those minimum qualifications. To be qualified to be the Chicago Police, you have to be at least 21 years of age. You have to have a state driver's license. If you're coming from a different state, that's fine, as long as you're eligible to drive. You have to be either a citizen or permanent resident for at least 5 years. That means papers are all processed. You have your residency card. Your Social Security card does not say for work purposes only. You're actually able to work here as a permanent resident. Okay. And then also the ability to obtain a FOID card, which is that firearm identification card. Okay. That's issued by the state of Illinois. And then in addition to that, we have our education and work experience requirements. And we're going to get to that on our next slide. So what I mean by educational work experience, we have a minimum qualification of having 60 college credit hours behind you to be the police. And in lieu of that, if you don't have that college credit or associate's degree, you are able to use 1 year of active duty military. If somebody was part of the military full time for 1 year, and half of that college credit, which is 30 semester hours. You can do that optional, or you can have 2 full-time years of military or come from a different municipality somewhere else, what we consider a lateral officer or a peace officer somewhere else. That means in not another department other than the city of Chicago. Okay. And then we have our work experience, which you have to be the last 4 years for 3 consecutive years within that 4-year span. Okay. Either reservist, any branch of the government, either a correction officer, detention aide, or anything in that licensed security officer. Also, we have trades. And what they mean by those professional trades is anything that's unionized that you have to have a certificate behind you. So that goes for our pipe fitters, electricians, our plumbers, our carpenters, anything in that aspect. Okay. And then we also do things, again, certificate-based, social service work, healthcare, and educational professionals. Those are like our paraprofessionals, our teacher aide, something that you have a certificate behind you. Those are that educational requirement in addition to everything else we talked about on that first slide.
Well, I have a question. For
Yes,
the
ma'am.
professionals in a trade industry such as electrical,
Uh-huh.
carpenter, why is that important? Why do you guys have that as an option as far as making the minimum qualifications? That's very
Okay. Okay, no worries. So previously, you were not able to have work experience. They tailored that because in this industry, you have people that had to start work and unable to attend school, or you have the people that are not great schoolers, that they don't like the school aspect, and they want to make sure that we're not missing those people. But we have people that have the professional background that's willing to do the work and get the result that come from it. And they found out in those different careers that, hey, they have the means to meet the ends with Chicago Police Department.
I love that. And even in a professional trade, such as those who are in those journeyman trades, electrician, plumber,
Mhm.
there's some transitional skills that can also, work well with the police. If you decide to, pass the test and go forward and move forward, you could probably take some of those electrical and plumbing, carpenter skills when they're needed, because you never know when that can, be used for something and across different areas within the police department. I love it.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about that process. And I like to tell everybody that if you think that you can apply and show interest today, you can get a job tomorrow. It is not how the Chicago Police Department go or any office of the police, a branch of government, because you have to remember, we have the right to take somebody's freedom and also their life. And these are big things, okay? These are their freedoms, okay? Part of the constitutional right given rights. So our process first starts with that written exam that is based upon a pass or fail. Then you'll go into what they call our personal history questionnaire and upload all of your requirement documents to prove that you're eligible to be the police with us. Then you'll go through the paperwork process, drug testing, along with fingerprinting. Once you finish that with our power test, our pre-power, you have to pass before you're able to move on to any other step of the process, our investigation process. So what the investigation does, they go and they look through your questionnaire, they go through your background, they also go through your home interview, your credit. It's so much encompass your background. We're going to talk about that more further a little bit later. Then we're going to go to be invited to that final power test. And at that final power test, we must pass that one before we're able to go into our psychological exam and then that medical that we're going to get to shortly. So with that written test, it's a bunch of stuff on here that they test for. So I'll talk and hit on a few things with that inductive and deductive reasoning. That's just bigger words to say when we're going to give you a list of rules. And you figure out what's the best logical way to actually make that happen. With inductive reasoning, they're going to give you separate pieces of information. You're going to read all of that and you're going to come up with the best answer in that regard. And then problem solving, it's going to be you're going to tell a story and then they're going to tell you a story and then you're going to figure out what's wrong with it, what doesn't make sense, things of that sort. And again, this is all based on a pass or fail basis. It's like when you go in and take like the SAT, ACT way back in high school. It's similar to that, but without the mathematical aspect of it. Okay. So looking at these examples, I know it looks really, really weird, especially that example all the way on my right side. But that first example with the graphs, this is an example of what we call our deductive reasoning. They're giving you all of these pieces of information, and you're going to put it together, read it, and then they're going to ask you a question, and you're going to figure out from there. Okay. And then with this second example, this example is in regards to our information gathering. So they give you all the information, you're going to gather it, you're going to read it. This is the set of rules, and then you're going to answer the question that's given. And then that third one, this is the most intense, and everybody always get a little leery because it's so much information. So what this one is what they call our selective attention. What this is, it gives you a lot of things to distract you, and you have to figure out a way to make it most simplistic for you and find the correct answer in it. Does anybody have any questions? These are just brief examples of what actually comes on that written exam.
Well, let me just say this. With any career pathway that makes you become a professional, there's going to be a set of tests that you're going to have to take, written, sometimes practical exams. If you're an engineer or coder, they might ask you to, code on the spot, or, there's just
Absolutely.
things that are just going to come up. So we do get kind of intimidated sometimes when we have to take a written exam because we don't know what they're, basing the criteria on. So how does the Chicago Police Department look at those people who are not good test takers? Like this could be very, disconcerting. How do you guys
So
like work with people?
I can do this every day with you, Miss Parker, because that brings us to our next slide, which are our written exam prep days. We have our officers that actually facilitate going over the study guide. We do this 3 to 4 times a month on Mondays between 6 and 8 p.m. and has a schedule. Everybody that applies get a study guide. Those example questions that we talked about is directly from our study guide. And then you're able to answer questions there, talk to different recruiters, and do everything right there in that study prep on those Mondays. So that's what that is. So we want to make sure everybody is able to pass. And that test, because it's a practice test as well, is verbatim what Chicago Police Department exam looks like. So in regards to that background, this is where we're gonna spend a lot of our time in that regard. Okay. So that personal questionnaire, I just want everybody to understand that it's different from different people. Everybody's process is not the same because you have some people that apply when they're 20 and 21, still at home with their mom, just graduating college. So their personal history might not be as extensive as somebody's personal histories. Like when I came on at the age of 35, I've been in like 8 houses. I had transitioned to several different states. Like any of that regard, my process was a lot longer than somebody else's. Okay. So all of that will be listed there. Relationship, children. I had to put all my children here, my intermediate family, like everything that they ask for is going to go in this personal history questionnaire section. Okay. Then they also going to do a complete background, which includes your fingerprints. They're going to see everything that you did, every arrest, every conviction. So we want to make sure that we're keeping our records clean in this regard. If we're in relationships that we shouldn't be in, making sure that we keep all of that together because they are going to talk to your husband, wives, girlfriends, boyfriend, all of that in addition to neighbors as well. It's a whole spectrum that part of the interview that you go through. All right. So they do go through what they call a drug screening. With our drug screening, the first test you go through, you have to you can fail for cannabis only. That's the only thing. Anything else, you will be removed from the process for a minimum of 5 years. So we tell everybody, if that's something that you do, always get it from the actual dispensary versus anywhere else because you know it's safe and you know what it is until you're ready to go through the process if this is something that you do. Okay. But that second drug test, you cannot have anything in your system. Everything has to be a pass, right? They do a polygraph, and what that polygraph is what they call our traditional lie detector test. I will say, in my regard, when I did mine the first time, it was extremely scary. My heart was beating out of my chest. Okay, they hook you to a machine. You take off your shoes, and they're asking you questions in regards to the testing that you took already. So I tell everybody, don't be intimidated. Just be honest, be truthful, be creditable, and then you're going to be fine. Do we have any questions thus far before we go on to the next slide?
Any questions, you guys? I know we have people who are, driving or moving around. I want to make sure that you guys get your questions answered. It can be something that's related to previous slides, or you're interested in policing and you want to start the process. Any questions? And take a pause real quick. Okay, let's move on.
All right, so we talked about that pre-power and final power, which again is the same test. And we want to make sure everybody has the answers for them because it's given. This is what we call our state best. I'm sorry, our state equivalent, what they call agility test. Everybody who is a police officer, anything in law enforcement has to go through this same test. So these are the four concepts of it. We're going to get to what they are on the other side. You have a sit and reach where you have to put your hands together, sit in a chair where you put your hand in a box, and you're going to stretch. And then from there, you're going to do what they call a 1-minute sit-up. At that point, your hands are going to be clasped in the back of your head, and you're going to do sit-ups up and down for that 60 seconds, whatever that looks like for you. And then that 1-rep bench press. What that is you're going to bench press up one time, your max bench press, a percentage of your weight. And this is all based upon gender and age. We're going to talk about on the next slide with a 1.5-mile run. So let's say I was a 25-year-old female, and I'm going to look in the female section where it says 20. I touched my screen. And I'm going to have to do inches wise, a sit and reach for 17 inches. And then with my sit-ups, I'm going to have to do 24 in a 60-second span, which bench pressing 51% of my body weight. Okay. And then I have to do a 1.5-mile run in 16 minutes and 46 seconds. So that's how they would do that. Okay. And again, you have to pass the pre-power to even continue on in the process, and then have to pass the final process of the final power at the end to get your letter of height. But the best part about this whole program is because we know that working out can be challenging for other people. So we do have what we call our pre-power sessions. And what those pre-power sessions are, we have our accredited gym team that are personal trainers that go through and do workouts Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. to help and condition the candidates to get them where they need to be. So say, for instance, you did not pass that pre-power. You have 90 days. They put you through a boot camp where you go through these classes just to help you get where you need to be able to pass. That's just like when we help for that pre-exam, the pre-exam classes as well. So we're trying to have every avenue that we can to help every candidate that we have. Do we have any questions?
I want to say something. I don't know about you, but first responders, they have a very physical job.
Definitely do, Ms. Franco. Definitely do.
That you guys know that when you're going out there and applying for roles that require your physical, it's not like what you see on TV. It's a little bit more, endurance involved. And a lot of times things happen which cause you to, exert yourself a little bit more because of the nature of the event. I think it would be great if you guys start working out now just to get your heart rate well, because it all does matter when the stress comes on with the job, because first responders endure a lot of stress.
Absolutely. I always tell everybody, and it's not just about the pre-power. You have to do the work at home too. This is an addition to.
We have a question. Is there an unlimited time for the written tests?
It's for the time frame to take it is at 2.5 hours.
So you have 2.5 hours to complete.
Yes. The entire written exam.
Is there an unlimited time to pass the exam? Like you get more than one time if you fail or you don't meet the requirements, or is it one and done?
Okay, so how that works is, say for instance, you pass, but we have a hiccup in that pre-power section. We're not able to continue. Your application is good for 1 year until that pre-power stage. Okay, say for instance you fail out and you're not able to get through after those 3 tries that you get, you can start the process again. It does not stop you. Say for instance, in the beginning, you don't pass in the beginning, you are able to take that test again.
Okay, so you have multiple opportunities to take the exam, but you have to follow what is the proper order.
Yes, that's it.
Nice.
All right, so let's talk about some of those disqualification factors. We did talk a little bit earlier in regards to that background investigation. And I try to tell a lot of people, please make sure we watch relationships that we keep. A lot of that domestics are a big red flag. Okay. They don't like to see it. They feel as though if we're not able to handle the relationship status that we have with us, we're not able to continue. Okay. And then we have to also make sure that we have a firearms identification card. Hold on for me. What is my background too loud? Are we
Oh,
okay?
you're fine. You're
We're fine. Okay.
I can hear you. I want to take a pause there. Let's talk about
Okay.
what do you mean by domestics?
Okay, that's any type of arrest that you have that is what they call relationship based, mother, father, sister, brother, girlfriend, boyfriend, roommate, different things like that. That's considered is the domestic factor. Okay, so if you have any type of batteries, any fights, anything like that that you're arrested for, can limit and stop you from being the police because they're saying that we can't control our anger or different things like that. So,
Okay.
mhm.
Did have one
So,
before you move forward with the
okay,
hiring.
yes, ma'am.
Approximately how long will it be after the exam if you pass to take the pre-power?
Okay, generally, okay, so I give out right now. We'll have our first test of the year coming up May 30th and the 31st. Okay. At that point, those test results will probably come back probably like July. Okay. So, and then you have to prove that you're able to actually be the police, which is either showing your 60 college credit hours, showing the fact that you have, your work experience, your prior military, any those factors. You have to prove everything, and then you will be invited to the fingerprinting and paperwork and processing. And then, so we're thinking about that's June, July, August, so about 4 months before you have to do that pre-power on the give or take aspect, about 4 months.
So that makes sense because usually background checks and extensive background checks take time to
And that's
follow
we're
up.
not even including the background check yet because we haven't made it to that aspect. Yes. This is
Okay.
just getting the test results back and also going and proving your documentation. Those
So
are
doc,
these steps.
okay.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Thank you for your clarity.
Oh,
Hopefully
no worries.
that answered your question. Wade.
All right, and then so also for that firearms card for UUWs, what they call unlawful use of a weapon, any type of convictions or arrests that does hinder you to be able to obtain a firearms license as well as be able to come on the job. So again, we have to stay mindful and make sure we're doing everything lawful because we don't want anything to stop, not just this career, any career in that regard. So again, we talked about briefly earlier about those drug testing. So we do urine and also hair. So urine only goes about 30 days. So with the hair, it does go back much further. So that's why I was saying earlier, if you did anything other than marijuana, they find it in your hair. Okay. And that goes back that 5 year aspect when they pull it. Okay. Any questions in regards to drug testing? All right. And we talked about that final power piece. After you do all of that aspect that we talked about, you have to do the final power again. And this is when you get your conditional letter of employment. All right. And then at that point, you will be invited to what they call our medical examination. With their medical examination, they're just looking for little things, making sure your heart is good, you're breathing. Because again, like we spoke about earlier, being the police is very physical taxing on your body. You just never know when you have to run. Situations come high, heart rate, and different things like that. Okay, so they do workups on blood, everything. when they go through the medical exam. You have to be cleared to be able to go on to the next stage. All right, so with that psychology exam, okay, psychological examination, it is, when I took it, it was about 1,500 questions in paper, the same questions over, different type, over and over again. And I always tell everybody, just be yourself, answer the question as given, okay? And they're looking for people, what they consider, what they call suitable for the position. Psychologically stable to actually become the police. And say, for instance, you get a hiccup in this process. Every portion of the process, you're able to appeal. So you have the ability to do that. So that's not the end all be all. It is options for you to do something else.
Now,
Okay.
I'm gonna take a pause there. You said how many questions in this particular psychological exam? You said
When
1,500.
I took it, it was 1,500. But they said it's changed now. So now it's not in person. It is on the computer. And they said it's about 1,000 questions now. They took some off.
Still a lot. And so how long will it take you to, because that can psychologically, work with taking an exam for that long. How long does that usually take an average person?
So it's very quick. So the questions are generally, are you a people person? Do you like to go outside and have fun? Just questions like those. So they're like real one sentence personality based questions, and they just want to see where you are. You're not answering it for how somebody wants you to be. You're answering it for who you are in itself. And so from there, after you go through that complete process, get all those passes, that's when you get your actual final letter offers to say, please we want you. Please be a part of the Chicago Police Department. And then you'll get your start date.
Okay, we have two questions in the chat.
Okay.
If you are a federal agent or a police officer for a government agency, would you qualify for a lateral transfer? I think that was one of the questions you pretty much did answer, but go ahead and answer it again.
Please, I would love to. So unfortunately, the lateral position that Chicago Police had is now no more. So everybody has to start off as a probationary police officer at our base pay and base benefits, which are we going to talk about on that next slide that we're going to go to right now.
And this means that they will have to take the exams again.
Everything.
So that answers
the whole kit and caboodle.
Okay.
So this is one of my favorite slides. So you don't see too many people that offer tuition reimbursement. I'm currently utilizing mine now because I am going to get my bachelor's, which I was unable to receive because of my past situations in life. So now I'm going to obtain it. So day one in the academy, they're starting off at $61,000, which equates to about $29 an hour. Okay. What the academy entails is working out, taking tests, doing homework for about 6 to 7 months of your first 12 months. That's what that is. After that, you'll go in with what we call our field training officer. What our field training officers, where you're going to take everything you learned in classroom and you're doing real live application with it, trying to make that mush for you to figure out how you want to be the police and how you want to police. And after that, you'll pass that. And then from there, you'll go to other police officers. So you can see the do's, the don'ts, what you like, what you don't like, so you can effectively cultivate you as a police officer. And so at that 1 year mark, at that 12, you're at 88. And then that year and 6 months, we're at 93. And then you have step increases at that point. So by the time you are not even 5 years in, your base pay, no overtime, none of our duty availability, none of our uniform allowance, none of this additional pay listed at the bottom is included in that 108. That is your base pay, 108,000. And then due to the fact that Chicago, summertime shot, it is a lot happening with so many festivals, so many things to do here. They do say thank you to us with offering us what they call our duty availability on top of our overtime. So 4 times a year, because we do get canceled days off, they offer you an extra $950. Okay. With that being said, that equates to that $3,800 annually, just to say, we know that you're having time away from home and thank you for being available on top of your overtime that you get. So you get that and that. You get both. And then also our uniforms. Uniforms are not cheap. They also give us 3 times a year to make sure our uniforms are up to par. All right, that's $650 3 times a year, paid for that year at $1,950. Okay. And then also all of those medical, vacation, all those advantages that I talked about earlier, we get all of that. And we have premier plans for health, medical, I'm sorry, for vision. Dental would be like, but it's still good dental office and vision. It's still good. But that dental, I can't find nobody that got amazing dental insurance, but it's okay. But it's still good. And then we also have that pension and deferred comp. So what the deferred comp is just like your 401k plan. You're paying yourself for retirement. And then we also have our pension that you put into that you're going to be paid once you hit that retirement mark after your 10, 20, or 30 years, whichever you choose, because you're pensionable after 10. Do we have any questions in regards to salary and benefits aspects?
I do have a question regarding
Yes, yes, ma'am.
the other areas within the police. How does that pay scale work when you transition into detective versus forensics versus, marine
Yes.
and
So all of that is paid at a higher rate. I don't have exactly those rates in front of me, but they consider that, um, let's go with probably, this is an estimate, probably about a good 10 to 15,000 more than the base police officer.
because those are specialty careers within the
Those are
police.
specialty units, yes. And I don't have the exact numbers for those. This is just the base police officer position.
That goes with additional training and also
Yes.
resources to support those transitions. Do you have to start within after the academy start as a police officer like a cop, um and then work over into those other areas that you're interested in for a certain amount of time?
So probation is 18 months. Every unit and every position has a certain amount of time that they want you to be enrolled or in grade before you're able to transition or apply for another unit. So like myself, I'm a recruiter. Okay. I had to be the police for a minimum of 5 years before I was able to apply for this position that I'm in. All right. And then I researched something for somebody else. I had a candidate that was looking for to be a part of our helicopter team. Okay. And when I researched theirs, you only needed to be out of probation to actually go in to be the police, to transition and apply to be part of the helicopter unit. So that was just 1 year and 18 months. So everybody has a different set of rules and requirements for each position that you go for.
To speaking about the helicopter unit, do they already have to have previous background in flying, maybe military?
They So when I read it, they did want you to have the FAA already.
Okay, so you have to have
Yeah.
your license with the FAA. That makes sense. And then
Yes.
or have some experience, requirement flight experience. Okay, that's wonderful. Okay. Any questions, you guys? I think these are really okay.
All right. So, and with that being said, a lot of people, the work experience can be a little hiccup or the college. We actually partnered with Olive Harvey, and they created this program for an associate's degree in criminal justice called the 1 year in and out pathway to policing. Okay. And what this program, it provides you a criminal justice associate's degree within 12 months. So every class is accelerated. You could do this. The test is waived, so you won't have to take the entrance exam once you pass this, and then you will be placed right in the police program at that point. You have to be 20 years of age, but and it's completely free once you fill out your FAFSA, and they also have grants due to our partnership.
So can
So
you
this,
register as a 20-year-old, but then you get high if you pass all your exams with the process that the previous slide showed, you can, as long as you make it by 21, you're officially can
no,
be
I'm saying this, you have to be in the to get in this program, you have to be 20. You can't
okay.
be 18, right, coming out of high school. You have to have some life experience. So you have to be a minimum of 20 to get in this program. But this program, you can be 25, 21, 22, 23, all the way up until 39. It doesn't matter. This program is available for anybody that's interested. They have it where you have hybrid classes, you have online classes, and you have fully in class with this program.
So these are for criminal justice programs. These are those people who want to go deeper into the law side of law enforcement, not just active duty cops. Those who want to actually go into different realms within the police department that's more investigative, maybe even law itself, like actually becoming a lawyer.
This can be a stepping stone for all of those areas, not
Look
just,
at
yes.
how this. Yeah, it definitely would definitely increase your chances of getting more of opportunities within the police department and other areas too. So this is amazing. Okay.
And do we have any questions?
I would like to hear from our guest. Anybody have any comments, questions, or currently military or officers of law in other areas of the United States, or just interested in policing in general? Question: if you pass all the tests and backgrounds, is an invite to the academy guaranteed?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
They will, yeah, after you do everything, that's when your invitation will be sent.
And that process is up to 4 to 5 months to find out?
The complete process, I say a minimum of 7 months.
Okay.
That was just to take that pre-power. That's the time frame I was giving you that one in.
That pre-power is not the academy. That's just the agility test.
That is just the physical agility test. Yes, ma'am.
Right. So the academy is a whole nother level.
Yeah, it
What's
is.
the
It
academy?
is.
What is the day in the life at the academy? Are you living on the premises or
So this is not so state have you live and you go home on the weekends. With the Chicago Police Department, we actually code every Monday through
or
Friday.
how does it work?
So it's generally when you first start, it's a 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. schedule, Monday through Friday, weekends off. And then as you gradually start progressing in the academy, then your schedule could change to nights, to afternoons, depending on the availability of the trainers, okay, and the education team. So they really want you to get a feel of, okay, how would it be if you pull somebody over at night? What does that look like? What does it look like when you have to enter a building in the dark? So that's why they like you to have different time frames when you come in. So when you go in classes, you're learning law, you're learning physical techniques in the gym, you're learning how to safely use your weapon, what do's and don'ts in that regard. You learning case laws, so much city laws, state laws. Is so much encompassed in your training in those 6 months. But that's what it looks like. They want you completely prepared.
That's that sounds amazing. How long will you be at the academy for? How long again?
Between 6 to 7 months, depending on what aspects are completed in the curriculum. I was in for 7. You have other people, some of them did 6 in 1 week, but I just say average between 6 and 7.
And does that count towards that qualifications of your year in,
Yes, it does.
or is that probation?
that qualifies for that
Okay.
18
And
months.
okay. And that also you're earning while you're getting the learning aspect of it. So there you're going to learn the law. You're going to learn how the law applies. It's all
Mhm.
the application of what policing does at the basically school.
Yes, that's what it
Any
is.
Yeah, basically school. And I'm pretty sure people are familiar with the aspect of it from a television perspective, or maybe going to the military, similar like boot camp. But it's good to hear it from the actor who already went through the process. Any questions? Well, you can stop sharing your slide. How can they get in contact with you to learn more on transitioning into the Chicago PD?
I am typing it as we look at you, Miss Parker. I am typing it as we speak. So you guys can contact me. It's going to be in the actual link as soon as I finish typing it as Shareeda. That's SHAREEDA .Cooley, COOLEY at Chicago Police.org and via telephone number at 312-973-7949.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, before we close out today, I want to thank you guys for joining. And once again, welcome to another edition to How to Land My Dream Job. My name is Denise Parker. And if you guys have any questions that are offline, I'm going to stop recording. But you can follow us at NCRF Foundation to learn more about all the things that we have to offer. And then our website again is the College Expo. It's very simple to remember, thecollegeexpo.org.